You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhaeghe was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strome stops Shipley. Ritchie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live tonight on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to stay notified whenever we do record our live post-game shows. And thank you to those listening the next day on Friday on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you to break down the 7-2 win for the Niagara IceDogs over the Memorial Cup champion Saginaw Spirit here on a Thursday night at the Meridian Centre. Make sure to give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage. So, Cam, with that said, quite the game tonight. Extra eyes as well, which is always a nice thing. We had Commissioner Bryan Crawford in the house for his welcome tour. Going to be in Erie tomorrow for the Connor McDavid jersey retirement, so you always get Erie and Niagara together. And this game was also broadcast on TSN Plus tonight, so a bigger audience to see the IceDogs have quite a performance against a very formidable Saginaw team.
It was a great night, start to finish. The IceDogs really came to play. Interesting lineup changes were done in terms of the forward lines, and they come away with 2 points over the former Memorial Cup champions, and currently, as of right now, sit first place in the Eastern Conference with 51 points in 39 games, one up on Barrie, who I believe lost to Peterborough tonight. So just a fantastic night, start to finish, and a couple of key performers that we're going to have to discuss.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of guys to go over tonight and a lot of goals to go over as well. But as far as this game, you mentioned that it's going to be interesting because if the IceDogs take first place, by the time, if you're listening to this the next day, the trade deadline will have passed, and the IceDogs at the time of recording this have not made any trades, but we can talk about the fact that they kept their three overagers. Andre Loshko, Owen Flores, and Noah Van Vliet will be finishing out their overage seasons in the OHL with this IceDogs team, and I know we're both really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that ad nauseum over the last couple weeks and on our recap shows, and they already had to make a difficult decision with the overagers at the beginning of the season or a month in when they had to move Gavin Bryant. They committed to these three in Loshko, Van Vliet, and Flores. They've played fantastic. They've been, all of them at times have been among the most important players on the team, and it's a testament to, because I talked about this on our monthly recap show going into this, and I thought it was going to be very the doing the ultimate trying for the future and whatnot move of maybe moving Loshko. You only have him for 1 year. You got him right before training camp for essentially nothing, and you could maybe get another second-round pick. We talked about how their picks are a little bare when it comes to teams that are looking to contend over the next couple of years. It just goes to show that even though they might not add, I mean, I still don't expect to see the big trade this year that would land them Luchenko or Musty, for example. That being said, committing to not moving them is a testament to this team and this year and how well they've done, and I think that's a statement to say that, just because they're not buying or making these big splashy moves, that that they've earned the right to keep the team together. And, it was very interesting. I think a lot of eyes were on Niagara because, Barry's starting to load up, Oshawa as well. They look like the real powerhouses in the East, but the IceDogs have been in first or right around first the entire season. And just another great performance tonight where everyone's starting to click a little bit more.
Yeah, we got contributions from up and down the lineup tonight. Speaking of that, we'll start with our prep list brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. You tried the rest, now it's time to try the best. Best pizza and wing combos available in Niagara. Cam, go ahead and break down the forward lines tonight because it was a little bit jumbled up. I think Ben Boudreau kind of tried to strategically put some depth up and down the lineup knowing that Saginaw is so deep.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really just want to discuss one line, to be honest with you, and it was, Loshko down with Levin. And Brady Wasslin, and they had just an insane offensive output tonight. And I thought that it might have been because of some lackadaisical performance in the prior game, but that line just clicked start to finish, and Loshko specifically, my goodness, I mean. Robrick and Kevin always get the attention, as they should. They're, top 5 and top 10 in scoring in the entire OHL. But the whole year, I mean, Loshko, especially on the power play, I don't know if there's a bigger impactful player this year on the IceDogs, and the improvement that they saw from like a 9% power play going all the way up to what it is now than Loshko. That one-timer he has right at the face-off dot, we saw another one today. And, just extremely important. And it's been great to see, and now gets his hat trick tonight, and Wasslin with 5 points to retake the rookie lead in style. That was it was an odd line because I didn't expect to see Loshko away from Kevin. It didn't. When the first line has been the first line and they've done well. I mean, they're top 20 in scoring, both of them in the OHL. Why change it? But again, Ben Boudreau head coach Ben Boudreau knew exactly the buttons to press, and they pressed them tonight.
Absolutely, and we'll move on to our game summary brought to you by Gales Gas, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. They're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales multiple locations across Niagara. The IceDogs outshot Saginaw 30-28 in this game. They were outshot in the first period, but then outshot them 15-11 in the second, and it was 8-8 in the third. As far as specialty teams go, IceDogs 2 for 5 on the power play, 2 for 2 on the penalty kill, and they won the face-off battle 31-26, which is almost half of what we saw in the last game. Not a lot of stoppages in that sense other than the goals, but anything stand out to you from the game stats tonight?
The shots in the third period were odd because I remember I kept peeking up at them and they just didn't seem like there wasn't. A lot of blocked shots. The third period was odd because I think the game just got so out of hand that they just kind of coasted, but they closed out a game. They've been winning a lot of games by 1 and losing games where they give up 5 or 6 goals. This one was they kept the throttle down and really took advantage of I think Oak in net for Saginaw had a pretty rough game. From his standards, and sometimes you're going to face a goalie who has an off night, and they took advantage. Just speaking on those lines again, I just want to mention some other pairs. So Kevin and Asadorian with Matthew Paris was technically the first line, I guess, if you would consider it. But I would, again, we can't see ice time.
Yeah, it was labeled as Aerosmith, Zada, and Robrick.
Exactly, and I got to be honest with you, that line was good tonight, but they were the least noticeable because the other two. The thing about Kevin and Asadorian's line, they didn't have the same offensive output. Kevin had 2 points and Asadorian had an assist. It was more that the speed of that line. They both, I think the Asadorian skating is very underrated, and man, were they going the entire time. So that was a nice, interesting pair. I'd be very curious to see what happens going forward now. Does Kevin and Loshko just kind of stay separated and things like that? It looks like the only line that is for sure is that 17-year-old line with Aerosmith, Zada, and Robrick, because I just think they complement each other perfectly. So I think that's what's happening there. But very interesting to see how things shake out because I don't know how you make changes after a performance like this.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be up to Sudbury if you're listening to this the next day for a quick turnaround on Friday night up in Sudbury. So we'll have to see what the lineup looks like come that game. But definitely, despite maybe these guys not playing together on a usual, they played well together and looked like that there was no sort of hiccups in that sense. So all 4 lines contributed with goals tonight, which was nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that was kind of the thing that stood out the most. I remember I asked you halfway through the game. I think every line has some points, like they're chipping in offensively here, and that's really important to see. It's just so odd because there's no buzz around for the IceDogs this season. They're just written off. And
because they're not making the big buyer trades.
But like that's the thing, and because they've been so the seasons have been pretty rough. 5 seasons in a row, of not making the playoff. 5, I believe, in a row of not making the playoffs. Obviously, you're going to have doubts, but I think that it's really impressive what they've been able to do this year and the talent they've acquired. And again, they don't have that first round pick in the NHL from the NHL the last couple of years. Like maybe that Oshawa has with getting Barlow and things like that, or Barry. But I mean, the IceDogs got 2 first round picks more than likely in the next draft that are playing right now, and they're playing absolutely incredible in Wasselin and Rubrick. So, Flores in net, who I think is criminally underrated among goaltenders in the league. Because the defense the team plays very offensive and they give up a lot of goals, right? But they also, I would have to assume, have the most shots against in the NHL or the OHL.
Yeah, I mean Flores leads the league in shots against and saves.
Yeah, so I mean it's kind of a damning stat there because you would assume that that's just not good goaltending, but it could be further from the truth. And again, I think their offense is overlooked. I think that's the thing is their offense is overlooked.
On the dot tonight, Zada 12 of 21, Asadorian 8 of 13, Lashko 7 of 11, and Galianov 2 of 6. So as far as the percentage goes, Lashko was the best on the dot tonight, who was labeled as a third-line center, but the way that the lineup shook out, it was kind of, basically like 1A, 1B, 1C tonight.
We don't have access to the time on ice, but I would have to assume that line played the most outside of special teams, like if you were to take away special teams.
Right.
But I don't know because Lashko and Wasselin got a ton of time, so I'm not sure. But they were on quite a bit until the third. I think they definitely might have rested them a little bit in the third period. But great showing tonight, and now they've got to take on Peterborough, who is never going to be an easy out. They lost so much at the beginning of the season, but they're such a well-run franchise that they were definitely losing. They were losing games where they were being competitive. It wasn't like this is a team that just has no hope every game. And obviously, it's always going to be emotional every time Peterborough comes back here with Gavin. I think, is this the last time they'll be here? Maybe one more?
I believe so.
Yeah, because it'd be so if this is the last one here, obviously it's gonna be tough. They had the New Year's Eve game, but we were able to come away with the dub then. But nonetheless, they have to be prepared, and they can't slow down because this isn't the Memorial Cup winning Saginaw team in the sense they just traded Joey Willis, I believe. He was moved, so it looks like Saginaw's starting to sell a little bit, but they still have Misa, who was buzzing tonight.
Yeah, they strategically sold with some of the pieces that they had in their middle six. It's going to be interesting to see if they make any moves tomorrow or today, if you're listening to this, on trade deadline day.
Do you think they move one of them?
No. I think they go through for a strategic ad because I don't think that they want to sell right. They just gave Misa the captaincy yesterday, so they're not moving him after doing that.
Now the rumors about potentially going to the NCAA, and we're always going to hear that, right?
Yeah.
So it's always going to be so curious to see how the teams handle that. Just as in the infancy of that partnership, or not the partnership, but the
agreement.
The agreement to because those are two players that you can't get nothing for. You know what I mean? Like you can't get nothing for them. So. It's always crazy the cycle. It's brutal sometimes in the CHL for teams, so.
Yeah, they just come off a Memorial Cup, and then you don't know what happens after
exactly,
that.
Right? Like you don't get the dynastic run of 4 straight years very often, unless you're London.
You don't get like the LA Kings and Chicago Blackhawks run like you do in the NHL. But like you said, unless you're the London Knights. Anyways, we'll move on to our scoring summary tonight, and we're not going to go over every single one of these because we'll be here till 12:30 at night. But regardless, our scoring summary is brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your your next work opportunity today. What an opening goal by Sean Doherty, Cam. Comes down the right wing, and that's a goal scorer's goal. His 6th of the year. Brady Waslin's and Andre Lashko both assist on that. I think that was in the middle of a line change. That's why Doherty was there and Levin was not. But great goal there by Doherty.
Yeah, barring in, far side. It was a great shot, and he's been such a good ad, you know? He just came in at the end of training camp. I believe he was moved after Vermeulen, essentially to replace him, I would assume. Right shot, right? And for the longest time, we talked about that a ton, that he was the only right shot. So he was getting power play time and all of that. And he's been a really good player and able to chip in offensively, and also a little chippy as well. So always nice to see. Yeah, we don't need to go over all the goals, I don't think. I mean, they had a 3-goal output in the second period, but the power play goals, like, that's becoming a thing. Lashko just beaming one from basically almost the goal line.
Yeah, it was a tough angle.
That was. We have seen that goal. I would hazard a guess at least 5 times. That exact one. That was the one with the worst angle, where he, like, you know what I mean. He painted that, and so nice to see. Last year we talked about it, there was no, like, they were always trying to get to Kevin or Ryan, but it was always being forced, and they could never get it right, get it down pat. This is like their move, and it works. So so nice to see in terms of that. Nice give and go as well. Lashko on the hat trick goal, feed from Waslin, who, man, just continues to be such a great playmaker. The sky's the limit. I mean, how far off is he? When do we start having the conversation that he might break the point record for a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ryan Robrick has it at, I think it's 51.
I think it's 51. I mean, he's well on pace for that, for sure. So
maybe not goals, but
not
points
goals.
total.
No way, he's not getting the goals because
he's having like a Jake O'Brien-esque season, like that he had with Brampton last year.
Like 40 assists.
Sorry. Yeah, like he didn't have a ton of goals, but he was assisting on a lot, playmaking ability.
I said this to you throughout the game that I think. Now, obviously, it was with Lashko, who technically is an NHL drafted player, so it shouldn't be viewed as that. But Waslin already looks like a line driver where it doesn't matter who he's with, he's going to elevate who he plays with. And to have that as a 16-year-old is simply just such an advantage, you know,
it's
because
scary.
he's only going to get better, much like Ryan did, but you know, they had to get him the puck a ton, and Kevin was like that too, where he, you know, his rookie season, you know, after Pasquale Zito was traded, I mean, I don't really know who else, you know, Asadorian had that in him. It's funny they got reunited, you know, they get reunited because that was the line we assumed last year was going to be the first line. But, you know, nonetheless, it's nice to see because Waslin has performed. He went through a little bit of a quiet stretch in terms of offense, you know, recently, but it's never like 10 games without a point. And you know, now he's just made up for it all. And he's now back in front of the rookie lead in scoring. I believe you said 32 games and he's got 30 points.
He's now, with the 5-point night tonight, he's up to 31 and 33.
Crazy. You know, like it's back-to-back seasons of having these two impact rookies. Like, you know, we're seeing like Akil Thomas and I can't even at the time Tomasino. Like we're kind of seeing that, you know, and those are NHL. Well, Tomasino's a first-round drafted player, and obviously Akil Thomas is playing in the NHL for LA. You know, so
getting Ben Jones vibes too.
Yeah, Ben Jones, that's a great one. Yeah, no, it's just fun. It's just fun, and you know, we haven't had a lot of nights like this. I got to be honest with you, it's starting to feel like a little bit like the dog days because you know that once we haven't had this, it's like okay, last season every game mattered because they had such a rough start that it's like okay, they're 5 points out of a playoff spot or 7 points out, so every game mattered, right? Like every game matters, and they all do still, but now it's like. They're gonna make the playoffs, and it's like I want to see playoffs.
And where are they seated? That's what
exactly, and like that's it. And it's crazy every time you look, like they're in first place, you know. And we just keep assuming that they're not gonna be there. Well, what if? You know, like, what if? You know, so.
Lashko's silly, by the way. I love that. He just sticks the stick up and salute.
It's very respectful. It's very European, I feel. You know, because Kevin scores and he does like the arrow shoot, like just like the fly down on one knee. He's got that nailed. Yeah, Rubrick loves to you know, get the crowd into it. But no, I agree. Just the stick up and slow skate.
Love that. Two of the other goals to mention, we talked about Lashko's hat trick, and then that great setup to Brady Waslin for that other power play goal. Late, we had that nice tip in won by Blake Aerosmith off the point shot from Blair Scott. And then this, I know Asadorian and Paris got assists on this goal, but this was all Kevin. He came down the left wing, beat his defenseman for the puck. We basically knocked his defender off the puck and was just coming in with so much speed. He basically picked up the puck almost near the goal line and just fired one far side on Andrew Oak. I have no idea how he picked that corner.
Yeah, that is one that Andrew Oak wants back for sure. But the fact that Kevin was able to do that is absurd. That is an NHL shot. It was. I remember just watching it, and when he shot it, I was just stunned that he took the shot and didn't try and deke in on the backhand. But no, just a crazy shot for him, and he went through a little bit of a cold spell. He's kind of had some moments where he's maybe disappeared offensively a little bit.
In the goal category.
This was
his second goal in the last 8 games, but he's still been putting up some assists.
Yeah, and I think that a large part of that is because Loshko who was his center for the majority of it, and maybe this was part of the whole focus and the shakeup tonight was to try and maybe just ruffle some feathers and see what they can do, and it's worked.
I know they've been going through a little bit of a cold spell there within the locker room, so there were a couple guys feeling a little under the weather tonight, and they were able to push through that. We saw Wysick leave, and then he came back with a vengeance and was throwing some big hits out there in the second half of the game. But lastly, when you look at the way that they played this game tonight, there was some chippy stuff near the end when Saginaw was getting a little frustrated and tried to bait the IceDogs into taking some penalties. A great sell job by one of the Saginaw players.
That is an all-timer. If you were at the game or you watched it, that was Doherty gave him or he got cross-checked, and Doherty kind of gave him a slash on the shin pads, and he just looked like he got hit with a cannonball, and it was a great sell job to try and get the penalty, and nothing happened out of it. But I thought it was great gamesmanship. I don't know who that was on Saginaw, but well done.
Absolutely. Loshko, 3 goals, 1 assist. Kevin, he a goal and an assist. Waslin a goal and 4 assists. Zada 2 assists quietly. Levin 2 assists quietly. He was the third part of that line with Loshko and Waslin. Matthew Paris also chipped in with 2 assists. He set up Brady Waslin for that beautiful power play goal. And then a couple other guys got on the score sheet. Virgilio was +5 tonight. No points, +5.
We never talk about that. Him
and Scott
specifically.
was +4.
Him and Virgilio, we just never talk about. And it's not a bad thing, I don't think. He's been rock solid. The whole decor, and it's tough because we technically have given up the most goals in the Eastern and I believe they can't beat the league. I think it's the Eastern Conference, if memory serves. But yeah, they've just been very good in terms of year over year. So great to see them have a big night.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a break on today's show. We're going to come back. We're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame, as well as a special interview that I was able to conduct during the intermission with OHL Commissioner Bryan Crawford, who was making his tour through to Niagara before going to Erie tomorrow. So we're going to hear from him as well with a couple of thoughts on his what he's thought of the Meridian Centre and this IceDogs group moving forward. So stay right here. Be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Back after this.
Fuel up your day with Gale's Gas Bars. They're your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Remember, at Gale's, they're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition. Whether you're hitting the road or staying cozy at home, choose Gale's. Gale's Gas Bars provide reliable fuel that keeps you moving. Stop in for quality you can trust and service with a smile. Don't settle for less. Head to Gale's Gas Bars today, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gale's! Learn more at gales.ca.
Did you know that the Global Pet Food stores in the Niagara region are all independently owned by members of the local community? We believe that pets are truly part of the family and are a source of joy in everyday homes around the world. Yet that living, loving experience usually doesn't happen all on its own, but takes extra effort to create and maintain. And we want you to know that the owners and staff at Global Pet Foods are always there to help you keep it going, any way we can, because we believe. Proud show sponsor of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs. We hope to see you at one of the following locations across Niagara: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, as well as 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Centre, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, Better Jobs Ontario information, and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Centre, helping people find work since 1983. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
This is Kevin He.
This is Brady Waslin.
This is Ethan Zadek.
This is Andre Loshko.
It's Owen Flores.
This is the Dog Pound Podcast.
The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Dog Pound Podcast game recap right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live tonight. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell to stay up to date with all of our live coverage, as well as those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Cam, it's a winning night for the IceDogs, so that means that only one thing. Free dog treats today, Friday, if you're listening, at all 4 Global Pet Foods locations. Make sure to go there, tell them the Dog Pound Podcast sent you, and that the IceDogs won last night. So, courtesy of our friends at Global Pet Foods, all 4 locations, both in St. Catharines, Fonthill, and Niagara Falls. Free dog treat for your little furry friend, courtesy of this IceDogs win. So, Cam, before we get going here with Ben Boudreau, I believe the IceDogs are, I was looking at it during the break, they've given up the 3rd most goals in the league, most in the Eastern Conference, but they're currently going to be first place at the time of recording this after that game with Barrie and Peterborough came to an end. IceDogs first in the Central, first in the Eastern Conference on January 9th. Just crazy to think about with the trade deadline today, if you're listening to it on Friday. And the hard thing to do is make no moves. And as of now, there's not going to be anything significant. And as Ben Boudreau said, they believe in the guys in that room. And it's just going to be a fun ride to see where this team is how they're going to blossom here with this experience and playing meaningful games down the stretch.
Yeah, like I said, I think that if you were just looking at like a casual look at the team, your first place team, that means this late in the season you got a chance maybe to win, go on a run. So go out and get the best players available. But again, with the windows in the OHL being so small and the core of this team being so young, if you go in and move all your chips in too early, then you really run the risk of getting a massive improvement. I mean, like, to be honest, again, just to play to play armchair GM, I think that everyone can see that if they were to get Luchenko or Musty or something like that, that would involve Waslin more than likely. I gotta be honest with you. Those are 2 unbelievable players, NHL drafted players, first rounders, gonna have incredible hockey careers. But at the current time, I don't know how much better the team gets if you were to take Waslin out and put one of them in. Just first of all, vibes. Hockey is such a vibe sport, and he's been such a great player on and off the ice. And the excitement around him and the buzz around him going forward too. You remove that and. I just don't see the benefit, right? Next year is clearly the year to push your chips in, and I think that the team realizes that. And it takes, again, ownership and everyone like that could see the potential of, like, let's, make a big splash, make some noise. Doing nothing is difficult from a business standpoint, probably, and making that decision, I can respect that.
But it's almost a business decision with what you said is you'd lose that 2027 year where you would want to go for that Memorial Cup.
That's even the biggest, and to be honest, I think that's what's driving this. Because, we were in with the teams that we had. I mean, they made a million moves to try and do everything. I can respect that, and I believe in that was Darren Dodobler's first year's owner. And the team just couldn't, and we were still in the final three for the Memorial Cup, I believe, right? So just losing out on that, we were in the final three, and if we're a OHL contender, which, it would be something catastrophic if we weren't in 2027. As long as no moves are made, things change. But I don't see how they wouldn't be. So the odds are just even more improved, and I think ownership can see that too. So, a Memorial Cup here would be incredible.
It would, and we're going to hear ask Commissioner Bryan Crawford about that a little bit later in our Cully's Players/Commissioner postgame tonight. But we'll start off here with head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame. Helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Here's what the IceDogs head coach had to say following his team's 7-2 victory over the Saginaw Spirit. Well, Ben, that second line you put together tonight of Waslin, Loshko, and Levin, 11 points between that line tonight. What made you put those guys together? And obviously it worked.
Yeah, I mean, we went 7-0-1 before the break. We came back and went 3-0-1 afterwards, and we were just looking for a little bit of change. And I think I made this comment is, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. And so, a little bit of change every now and then when things aren't working is always healthy. And Loshko and Levin and Waslin just seem to click right away. I mean, they're all playmakers. They all have vision and can find each other. And, I thought they were executing as far as the offensive side. They really competed on the defensive side as well, too, and that was my favorite thing to talk about on that line. So hats off to them for working so hard on both sides of the puck tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brady Waslin, goal and 4 assists, takes back the rookie point lead quietly once again. The leader was on the other side tonight, but now Brady takes it back over. Just what have you seen from the progression of 66 as he continues to grow in this rookie season?
I think he's on his great trajectory as far as what his expectations are. I mean, he's going to have mistakes in his rookie year, absolutely, but it's how you recover. And, he was -4 in London with 19 minutes played, and, obviously it wasn't a good game. And then we talked about Saginaw just a week later, and he responds with a 5-point performance, with the same amount of minutes. And I think that's what you want to see, is finding players to respond to certain challenges, and he handled it great, and he had great week in practice, and you could see it apply to his game, and that's what you want to see from your young superstars. He's got the ability to break a game open, and when he was dialed in and ready to compete and go to the dirty areas, he found a way to score. So hats off to him for earning everything he got.
And you talk about Loshko, Patrick tonight continues to be one of your go-to guys on the power play. Big reason why your power play is more than double what it was last season. You guys keep the 3 overage deadline past today. So how pleased are you with keeping 27, 5, and 35 on the roster the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, no brainer. I mean, that never even came up once. I mean, they've been drivers in all 3. I thought Van Veep, show how good his impact can be. And, I don't expect really movement at the deadline or anything. I mean, if Barrie loses to Peterborough tonight, as we're doing this interview, we're going to end up first in the conference here again. And it's tough to shake up the group. I mean, there's something to be said for chemistry. It's a great culture in there. The guys love one another. They played for one another here tonight. And, it might not be the sexiest mix of all the guys as far as big brand name players, but, the ingredients that we have for this recipe right now seems to be cooking. And right now, we just want to keep a good thing going without trying to disrupt too much of what we have going on.
And how pleased are you with the overall effort going up against the Memorial Cup champions, a team that got the better of you in Michigan last couple weeks? The Commissioner's in town. The game was on TSN Plus, so a lot of extra eyes on the game tonight, and you come out with a 7-2 win. Every line contributes tonight. Could you have asked for a better effort on that big stage?
No, we got to get Commissioner Crawford in the building a little bit more often, because when he was visiting the Sioux, we happened to be playing against them. We scored 7 goals then. They come back home, 14 goals in front of the Commissioner. I'm not sure what it is, where we must have really been trying to make a bid and let them know that we want that Memorial Cup in a couple years, as far as hosting. And if you're listening, hey, let's get you back in the building, Mr. Crawford. It was a great showing as far as everybody contributing to showing off. But our group was rolling tonight. I said we're deep offensively. That's never been in question. The defensive habits that we found a way to shut down Perec, and even Misa found a way to get on the board twice. But those are league leaders and great players. So defensively, I thought we were really good.
Thanks, Coach. Safe travels to Sudbury. We'll see you Sunday.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
There was IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills out of repair postgame. Cam was in quite the solid mood tonight, praised a lot of his players, and was happy the Commissioner was in the building, and just good thoughts all around. Good start to the week for his team.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you do that in front of the OHL Commissioner, now he has maybe a bit different feeling on maybe the IceDogs. Maybe they're for real, pays attention to the IceDogs a bit more. But no, I think that you can hear how happy he is about his squad, and I think that maybe the unease of the trade deadline is probably super difficult and stressful, not just for the players, but the coach too. It's not like you've got 30-year-old guys, you've got kids. So, sometimes it's probably hard as a coach to deal with losing players and all of that. And, you'd interact with their families and things like that. And, it looks like they're going to stay together. And I think that's super important. And, it's just such a stark turnaround from last year, and I could have never expected this, outcome. We've said it all year round in terms of the year-over-year turnover, but last place in the CHL essentially for 5 straight years and leading the Eastern Conference. After we're past the halfway point, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, well past it, and just crazy.
And to me, this was their best all-around performance of the season. The one lapse that they had in front of the net on Misa's goal was probably the only thing that I could say was their downfall tonight. There was a little bit of a stretch in the first period where Saginaw had hemmed them in on a 5-on-5 shift, but other than that, when you get contributions from all 4 lines, you've got most of your defensemen in the plus. Owen Flores he didn't have to be spectacular tonight, but he was solid as always. The coach was very pleased in that sense, and you can easily throw that saying out best game of the year, but as far as the collective from start to finish, and given the high stakes with the former champs in here, I don't think you could have asked for a better finish.
Nope, start to finish, everything went right. Could go right, went right.
So we'll get to our player/commissioner post-game interview tonight, and it is with OHL Commissioner Bryan Crawford in the building tonight, brought to you by Cully's Original Sports Bar. Just down the road here from the Meridian Centre, Cully's, it happens here. Whether you're gearing up for the game or need something to do after the game, Cully's is your place to be. So here is what the OHL Commissioner had to say during the intermission on his trip to Niagara. Back in our Cully's post-game interview, in the intermission today with a very special guest here. We've got the Commissioner of the Ontario Hockey League, Bryan Crawford, joining us, making his welcome tour here to Niagara. Bryan, first impressions of the Meridian Centre, and I know you've been pulled in a lot of different directions today, so we appreciate your time.
No, yeah, thanks for having me. Actually, the Meridian Centre's, of all the buildings in the league, the one that I'm actually the most familiar with. I ran a FIBA U18 World Championship event here back in 2018 when I was with Canada Basketball. So we spent 2 weeks in this building running that event, and about a year and a half getting prepared for it. So it's one I know well, and it's a great building, one of the best in our league, and great location here in downtown St. Catharines. So fantastic to be back.
Yeah, what are your impressions of the fan base? Obviously, they've been through a couple of tough years with this organization, as you probably know, taking the job. And this year has been a very nice renaissance season for the IceDogs, and a really big turnaround in all areas. So how happy are you to see the team where they are now after the trials and tribulations they've been through?
Yeah, no, it's no secret that the team's kind of rebuilding and resetting itself, and there's some work that needs to be done to kind of re-ingratiate ourselves with the fan base. place, and it's great to see the success on the ice, and that'll continue to breed support, and they're doing all the right things to get going in the right place, and get back to a spot where they're a leader in our league in all areas. So it's such a great sports community. Obviously I mentioned the FIBA event that we hosted here, Canada Summer Games just a couple years ago. So many great events that come through the Niagara region. Grey Cup just a couple years ago when it was in Hamilton. So much of the events were here in the Niagara region. So fantastic, and going to be a great anchor for our league going forward.
We talk about an event that they went for last time it came to Ontario in the Memorial Cup, and if they go for it again, what have you liked from talking to the management and the ownership with Wes Consorti and Darren DeDobler that if they were to put in a bid for that event again, that this time around with the team being more competitive and them going through the process already once, that they would have better odds at that next time?
Yeah, I know. There's so many factors involved in the Memorial Cup, and as you know, the Canadian Hockey League's leads the bid process and making the evaluations and so forth. But there's so many pieces here that allow for the chance to have a really, really successful event, right? And we mentioned all the events that the region has hosted in recent years and have been successful. And I think that there is a genuine interest from the team and the community to get behind another bid and for 2027 when it comes back to Ontario. And I certainly hope that they do, because that could be a really great opportunity.
Absolutely. We'd love to see you back down here once again. I know you're on to Erie tomorrow for a special night there with Connor McDavid. A jersey retirement night. It's going to be a big night. We've got the OHL prospect game coming up. That's obviously the Connor McDavid, is the title name on that as well. So how excited are you to see number 97 go up there in Erie and everything that he's doing as an ambassador for the league? Yeah, it's a great kind of 2 weeks to honor one of our most prominent recent alumnus, and to see his number retired in Erie tomorrow night's going to be fantastic. And then as you mentioned, having the game next week on Wednesday night for his namesake is pretty exciting. We're excited about that game in Brantford. Sold out event where hockey and the OHL have just been exploding, and what a great market we're working towards, getting a new building built there and have some exciting things coming down the pipeline to announce about Brantford. So we're really excited about that. Great to be part of it. Great to have alumni like Connor that are so supportive of our league and taking part in ensuring its future is as bright. Absolutely. New OHL Commissioner Bryan Crawford. Bryan, thanks so much for coming. Again, welcome to Niagara, your first time here as the official commissioner. Yes, we look forward to seeing you again in the future, and I know you've been pulled in so many different directions, so go and try to enjoy the rest of the night. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it. There was OHL Commissioner Bryan Crawford on our special Cullies post-game / intermission interview. Cam, some good stuff there from the commissioner. Tried to pull a little bit there about the Memorial Cup. Obviously not going to be able to have all the answers yet, but what was your impressions of hearing the commissioner for the first time? He didn't shut it down. He was very positive about the Memorial Cup coming to Niagara. But no, obviously we're a ways off of that. But no, it's nice to finally hear from him, especially for him to take the time and come on our show. It's definitely something we appreciate, and I think that there's a lot of interesting things that he is really pushing for in the OHL, specifically. I mean, expansion, things like that. I mean, think he's become the commissioner, and the NCAA deal immediately happens. It's just like there's a lot of change already. And, there's talks of expansion, things like that, and a lot of moving parts, but it's an exciting time for the OHL, and, I'm excited to see where things go with him at the helm. CHL or OHL top prospects game as well, which is a new thing. They have Connor McDavid as the title, I guess, representative for that, which will be fun, and Ethan Zott is going to be a part of it next week, so make sure you tune into that next Wednesday night. So before we get out of here, we're going to put Cam on the spot as always with our stick tap of the game, brought to you by Hockey Stick Man. Pro Stock Hockey Sticks for major junior teams right up to the NHL teams for half the retail price. Join their mission at hockeystickman.ca to help save hockey families money. Cam, you got a lot of options tonight, but I think I know where you're going with this. It is Brady Wasslin for his night, and it's tough to not give shout out to Lashko to hat trick. But what a night for the rookie. He's been everything that we needed him to be. A lot of pressure when a rebuilding team drafts a player high because there's even more at stake, needing him to be an impactful player. And I don't even think we could have envisioned this, especially when we didn't win the lottery.
I think that a lot of people forget this, that we were the number 1 seed to get the lottery, last place in the league, and we drafted 4th. So, whoops, just love that Wasland fell to us, and great kid and unbelievable night, and it's great that it happened at home.
He wanted to come to Niagara, and I think he made the right decision. Was there an unsung hero that you wanted to bring up? Virgilio
+5, man. He had a couple of good blocks as well.
He jumped up on the play a few times.
Yeah, he was behind it. I mean, what is with the defense? We had Van Vliet doing a wraparound last game, too. Wysick, too. Yeah, no, it's definitely, Virgilio, I thought, had a pretty strong game as well.
Absolutely. So, with that said, our next scheduled programming will be Sunday afternoon following the game against the Peterborough Petes right here at the Meridian Centre. The IceDogs are off to Sudbury, or are already leaving there if you're listening on Friday for that game in Sudbury. We'll also hear from Wes Consorti, the general manager, following the trade deadline. We'll do a quick video on that as well, and look forward to continuing to bring you guys great quality content here as the IceDogs go into the playoff push of the season. So thank you to everybody that's tuned in live on our YouTube live stream on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, smash that bell. Thank you to everybody that tuned in the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage. So for Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. IceDogs 7, Saginaw Spirit 2 in front of 2,958 here at the Meridian Centre. We'll talk to you again Sunday afternoon.